please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Trading Hour. The market is down about 45 odd points and we're at about 10,205, which means it's looking like another, tough day for bulls. There has been attempts at a recovery, but they've been pretty small in size. 25 odd points, we've had two of those since the market started trading, but we are clearly under pressure. Let's very briefly, this looks more than anything like this is essentially a result of global factors. Overnight, you had the US markets which actually ended the day higher. The S&P was up about 1/3%, but the problem started in early Asia when news flow hit the wires that one of President Trump's top economic advisors, Gary Cohn, has actually resigned. That really soured the market mood. He was actually a very vocal advocate for free trade, and reports suggested, and they gave some color, that there was a battle which took place, war of words within the Trump White House, and Cohn essentially said that I'm quitting, I'm out. The market interpretation clearly is that there are no real free trade advocates in the White House, and President Trump would follow through in terms of what he said. There were also news reports overnight which said that the US may actually impose tariffs on a variety of Chinese imports. It also said that it would curtail Chinese investments on US mainland, and that is basically retaliation for the IP infringement which US has accused China for a number of years now, but now the things seem to be coming to a bit of a head. So that's point number two. We, of course, had positive news flow from the Korean Peninsula, but that has been completely subsumed by the trade tension noise which we saw. Yesterday, as far as India is concerned, we basically had a sharp cut, and it becomes even starker when you compare it to the global market. India actually was the worst loser in terms of major markets yesterday. FIIs were net buyers in terms of trade. The interpretation that many are sort of seeing is that we basically had a lot of leveraged retail positions which got knocked out, which took a big hit. And then, of course, there is also tension as far as the local political front is concerned. So the BJP's ally in Andhra Pradesh, the TDP, is reportedly looking to snap ties. There are also reports that two of its ministers may actually quit the Modi cabinet. These are news reports. There is no confirmation. But I just wanted to sort of put together 4 or 5 of these things which seem to be weighing on the market mood. Let's quickly wrap this up with a quick check on what the Dow futures are doing. They were down 400 points, about an hour and a half odd back. They recovered to being down about 300, but I think they're selling off a little bit more. We'll come back to some of these points with a global perspective in a bit. Sudarshan Sukhani is with us as always. Sudarshan, thanks very much for your time. Your sense of the screen, we're down 40 points. Where are we headed?
Yeah, good morning again. Well, we are probably heading towards a very choppy environment for the next couple of days. So our suggestion in the morning was that traders should be having short positions at different intervals. Every time we have been saying, go and buy puts, go and take short positions in this market. Those short positions should today be slowly and steadily extinguished, which means all traders are making money, and a lot of money on the downside. At 10,200, the chances are that we are entering into a very strong support area. Now we can go to 100, we can go to 250, but the markets will be very choppy. So the risk and reward is no longer favorable. So the view is then close your short trades and step aside.
Okay. Hi Sudarshan, good morning. What are the stocks you're looking at?
Well, we are looking at some stocks that are outperforming, and we are looking to buy them only intraday, and that's Ashok Leyland, a stock that's sort of defying gravity. It goes up every time there's even the slightest of buzz in the market. Then Godrej Industries is also a buy. Earlier in the morning, I talked about Godrej Consumer. There's something going on here that the market likes. Both the stocks are outperforming. So Ashok Leyland and Godrej Industries are suggested for intraday buying. And LIC Housing Finance I referred to earlier also, that's a short sell, but keep your trades intraday.
All right, let's get in some Twitter queries then. Chatrasal says that he has 600 shares of Union Bank, which he has bought at 108 rupees. He now wants to know what the way forward is. Sudarshan?
Or you have to get out of PSU Bank. So your purchase price is immaterial. The market is not rewarding holders of PSU Bank shares. Exit. If at all you want to buy banks, buy ICICI Bank, buy Axis, buy IndusInd Bank. Even when they correct, they will bounce back handsomely. But get out of PSU banks, sell.
We have another question. Amol has 100 shares of Tata LXI. He's paid 905 rupees each for them. He wants to know whether he should sell or average, essentially buy more at lower levels.
No, you hold on. Do nothing. Do not average, do not sell. This is an outperforming sector, but you hold on to it. Don't do anything else.
All right, Sudarshan, for the moment, thanks very much for all your trading ideas and for your advice to investors. With that, let's also get a quick check on what's happening in the F&O space. Yogesh Mehta of Motilal Oswal Securities now joins in. Yogesh, good morning to you. What are the strategies you're looking at?
Good morning. Since markets are on a downward bias and negative trend till since yesterday, so we are recommending sell today on India Bull Housing Finance. Current price is 1209, keeping 1225 as a stop loss. Target could be in the range of 1170. The other one which we are recommending is on the buy side is Tech Mahindra, and that we are looking at 613 is the current price, keeping a stop loss of 605. Target could be in the range of 630. And one more short is Axis Bank. Currently it is quoting at 515. Stop loss can be kept at 522 rupees, and target could be in the range of 500 to 498 levels.
All right. Thanks very much for those trades. We will touch base soon again. The market for now down about 40 points, 10,212 odd is where we are at this point in time. I just want to take a very quick look once again at the futures. So you still have the Dow futures down 350, S&P is down about 32 odd points, and the Nasdaq is down about 76, 1.25% cut. Michael Every is now actually with us on the phone line. Michael, thanks very much for your time. Great to have you here. Michael is with the Rabobank. Many are looking at these US futures and wondering really what's going on. Is this all due to the resignation of Gary Cohn, or is there more?
Well, I think we've had so many resignations from the White House, I find it hard to believe that a new one, even in a very senior position, is really that much of an excuse to suddenly change your view of the White House overall. I think it's much more a reflection of the meme going around in the media, which is that Cohn was the only one who could possibly push back against Trump starting a global trade war. And Cohn leaving obviously sends a strong message that we are going to have that global trade war, and Trump decided to have it rather than Cohn. So if that is the case, then, and we're seeing weakness in equities carry through, then that appears to be quite logical, which actually is a nice change, because mostly what equities do is completely illogical.
Hi, Michael. Good morning to you. So what's the sense now with this kind of, with the global cues looking so volatile now, and the kind of news flow that we've been getting, not just from the US, but also from the Korean Peninsula? What's the trade then? What are you looking to invest in?
Well, that's a great question. I think it depends, and I have to underline this very, very strongly, on what your view is of how this is all going to play out. Because ultimately, this speaks to a point I've tried to raise continuously in this forum and many others for several years now, which is that at the end of the day, everything's political rather than economic. And you have to decide yourself how you think this will play out. Will Trump go ahead with a global trade war? Will other countries respond? Will they let America win? What will China do? And just how damaging would it be if that were to happen? What does your sense of theory tell you, will unfold from that? And the logical thing would be, I think, if you believe there is going to be a trade war, to obviously not be going long too many stocks, but if you're looking for stocks, to look for ones that are domestically focused rather than export focused. And that applies for every single country, whether you're in the US and you're an exporter, or whether you're in India and you're an exporter. You want to be looking at things which are safe, defensive, and where if you have more protectionism and more inward-looking economies, you're relatively well shielded.
Michael, what is your view in terms of whether we are going to have a trade war? Are we likely to have one or no?
Well, my personal view is I've been expecting one for quite some time. So there's a lot of people, I think, waking up today and saying, oh, my goodness, this is all going to happen. I've been just wondering when it was going to happen, purely because two things to underline it. First of all, Trump effectively is a businessman. Businessmen are mercantilists, and I hope our viewers understand what a mercantilist is. It's somebody who's the complete opposite of a free trader and always wants to export more than they import. Any businessman by nature is a mercantilist, otherwise you go bankrupt. So Trump isn't an economist. He always was going to think like that. But secondly, if you look at the primary target for his action, forget about steel and aluminium. What's driven the whole thing has been China, globally. And you have, in terms of political developments in China and economic developments, a country which is growing, 7% year after year after year, and openly saying, we don't like the U.S. political system, we don't like the global rules-based international order that the U.S. set up. We demand a far larger share of the global economy, and we want a seat at the table to rewrite all the rules in our interest. So if China's doing that, why would you trade with them? Why would you give them the benefit of your market? If you're Donald Trump and thinking like him, why would you allow China to keep growing at 7%, 6.5% every year, and use that monetary ammunition to destabilize your role at the top of the global economy? It's madness. You're giving ammunition to your enemy, as far as he's concerned. So for me, it's always been a question of when he would push back.
Okay. And Michael, just to wrap up then, what's your sense on India itself? We've seen quite a fallout of that, the bank fraud case as well. We've seen the ruling party make inroads into the Northeast. Given the overall situation, is India looking attractive in the EM basket?
To be honest, I think India's one great saving grace is that it is a large domestic economy. You're not a big exporter, and I know that's something you'd like to change, but now's not a good time to try and do that. And you do have a large domestic economy, and I think that may actually be a saving grace if you obviously allocated towards that rather than exporting. But frankly, in this kind of global trade war that we're talking about, every emerging market is going to get smacked. Every emerging market is. It will be risk off in a big way.
Michael, thanks very much. Appreciate you joining us. That's essentially views from Michael Every, saying that he was always expecting a trade war. The question was one of timing, and looks like we are maybe starting to get some of that. We'll see where this one goes. There are some news flashes at the bottom of your screen. So TG Venkatesh, a TDP MP, saying left with no option but to leave the NDA alliance. Is Andhra Pradesh not given special status? I was just referring to this 5 minutes back, that there were reports that two TDP ministers in the Modi cabinet may actually leave the government, and the TDP, which actually has been one of the most reliable allies of the BJP, may actually break ties. Decision will be announced by TDP chief Chandrababu Naidu, according to this MP, TG Venkatesh.
Below the 10,200 mark on the Nifty, the Sensex is down about 160 points right now, and big underperformance from the mid-cap index as well as a lot of these banking stocks. So let's see if the commodity space is faring any better than the equity market. Manisha Gupta is here with a quick roundup. Hi Manisha, what's making news?
Thank you so much for that, Sumaira. Plenty, really. In the global markets, we have seen pressure come in some of the commodities as the US dollar has stabilized. But in the Indian markets, we really are looking at farming as a sector with keen interest. Remember, that is the word that has been spoken by the ministries, by the think tanks, banks, etc. And now we understand that the Agriculture Ministry, the Niti Aayog and the states are meeting on the issue of the minimum support price on 9th of March. Well, remember, the Rabi crop has started coming into the markets, and this is the time that you will see the arrival pressure come in. The commodity prices would be under pressure yet again. And this is the time that you will need the ministers, center and the state to start acting onto this one. Well, I did speak to the Agriculture Ministry, and they say that they have prepared a proposal to the states, and they are proposing various ways of ensuring the implementation of the MSP, and that they also are looking to take the feedback from the states on the issues concerning MSP here. The Niti Aayog also says that once this meeting is done, the states have come and spoken. They will then prepare a mechanism for implementation. So implementation clearly seems to be the key here, because remember, while we have MSP for nearly 24 crops, it's only a couple of crops that actually do respond to this MSP. For the rest, honoring really is the key when it comes to MSP for many of these crops, and to ensure that more crops are covered is what the Niti Aayog would be looking into. So with the MSP already fixed now at 50% more than the cost of production, it really is about implementing it, and the states of course have been facing some issues onto that. So getting states in, getting more crops in, getting feedback, solution, putting these proposals in, it is what is going to be the agenda on 9th of March. So that is what is key as we get into the Rabi arrival season there. But let's get in more thoughts then, and we are joined by Sumit Bagaria as well. Sumit, hi. When it comes to some of these agro commodities, what is your sense? Because in the recent few days, we have seen the government yet again go out, hike import duties on edible oil space yet again. Actually, when you look at this year, we have seen import duty hikes in sugar, wheat, pulses, edible oil, etc. But even then, the desired impact or effect on the prices is not seen. So when it comes, as in all of these agriculture sector, where do you see prices moving?
Hi, good morning, Manisha. Well, there is a mixed view on commodities, especially on agri commodities. As far as view on agri commodities is concerned, at present, soybean is looking strong on charts. What you have seen in the commodities that from lower levels we have seen a one-way move, and now the commodity is quoting at around 38.50. I think immediately there is a possibility that some more upside can be seen from present levels. So on the higher side, immediately the resistance for the soybean near month contract is placed at around 38.70 levels. Once these levels are taken away, there is a possibility that we might see a move around 200 to 250 points. So for a trading perspective, I think till that time 37.50 levels are not taken away on downside, one should be on buy side in soybean for the upside target of 39.50 and 4,000 levels. At the same time, turmeric is looking weak on charts. It has given a breakdown. Some pullback can be seen from present levels, but the overall view is looking weak. Downside, there is a possibility that if 6,500 is taken away, then we can see a fall till 6,300 or 6,200 levels. So any pullback in turmeric till 6,800 levels should be used as selling opportunity for the targets of 6,500 and 6,200 levels.
Sure. Sumit, also, what is your sense of the sugar prices now? Because the sugar stocks have been taking a hit as well. And, you know, when we started the sugar season, the expectation was that we will see a sugar output between 24 to 26 million tons, perhaps. Now that number has shifted to 28 to even 29 million tons, as we've heard from the trade industry. Of course, ISMA is expected to come out with their latest revised number on sugar production today. But what is your sense on the sugar prices or sugar stocks for that matter?
Well, the commodity is looking weak. It has given a one-way fall from higher levels. I think sugar can give more correction from present levels. Sugar stocks and sugar commodity, sugar as a commodity, it's looking weak. In next 2 to 3 months time horizon, we can see a fall from present levels. I think it's currently quoting at around 30.70, 30.80 levels. There is a possibility that if the psychological support of 3,000 is taken away, then we can see a fall till 28.50 or 2800 levels in next couple of weeks. I think any pullback or any bounce back from present levels till 31.50 levels in sugar NCTX should be used as selling opportunity. As far as stocks are concerned, most of the stocks are looking weak to me. From here on, we can see a move of around 8 to 10% on downside. So it's better to be on short side in sugar stocks and sugar as a commodity.
Well, absolutely. 3% down on sugar as a commodity ahead of that ISMA numbers that are going to be revised on the upside today. One final word, and this one is on crude oil prices. What is your sense ahead of the US weekly inventory numbers?
Well, the commodity is looking strong to me. It has given a one-way move and now consolidating at higher levels. We feel that from here on, there is a possibility that we might see upside move, in which there is a possibility that we can see $64, $65 in NYMEX. And as far as MCX levels are concerned, one can initiate long positions in crude. MCX current contract at the 4020, 4030 levels with a stop loss to be placed at 39.70 on lower side for the upside target of 41.20. And if 41.20 is taken away, then we can see extended move till 41.70 levels. So for a trading perspective for next couple of days, one can be on buy side with a stop loss to be placed at 39.70 levels on lower side.
Sumit, thanks very much for that. Appreciate you joining us. Manisha, thank you very much for taking us through what's happening in commodities agri focus today. Just want to take a very quick look at the Nifty, which is now, I think, pretty much at the day's lows. And it'll come up. The Nifty should come up. The Sensex is down 165 odd points. So across the board, there is fresh selling, which is being seen. When we started, I think we were down about 40. We're down 20 more. 10,189 is where the index is at. I mean, let's put the PNB intraday up. PNB is almost, where it was a couple of days back. It had gotten to 92 rupees. The low was 92 on the 28th of February. And after that, it kind of held on to that three-digit mark, 100, 101, but never really slipped below that. It did that yesterday or day before yesterday, and it's now at about 94 rupees and 60 paisa. You look at the PSU Bank index, it's down another 3.25%, and this after the 3% cut that we saw yesterday on the PSU Bank space. So, it's got to be SBI, BOB, Bank of India was down 7%, Canara, Syndicate, and so on and so forth. So that entire space is completely washed out, so to speak. Bank of India is down another 4%, so that's also now double digits, 99. Canada is on your screen, that's out about 5.5% lower. So big cuts. The Credit Suisse report essentially talking about a big hit in the fourth quarter because of what bonds have done isn't really helping as well. So it's not a pretty looking screen at all at this point in time, the market making lows for the day. We take another very quick break here. We come back. Ashwini Gujral will be with us and he'll weigh in on